So, Ms. Stine, happy Friday.
Yes.
So on behalf of the board, just want to thank you again for expressing interest to serve on the Board of Education. Today's interviews are being recorded and they'll be posted after all the candidates have completed their interviews. All candidates were emailed the questions yesterday at 5 p.m. and each candidate confirmed receipt. Each board member will ask a question and you'll have 40 minutes to answer all 7 questions and provide a closing statement if you wish. And questions are going to begin on the end with Ms. Thomas. We're going to work our way around and conclude with Ms. Butler-Washington. And please let us know when you're done answering a question. And so then we'll move on to the next question. And you can return to a question at the end if there's time left, if there's something else you'd like to add. So the board will take notes and remain silent during the interview, so don't take it personally. We're just trying to keep the entire process as fair and equitable as possible. And I'll give you a 5-minute warning on your time. So after the interviews today, the board will confer, and when the board reaches the decision, all the candidates will be notified. So for the record, could you please state your name and address?
My name is Shellee, and my last name is Stine, and my address is 1010 Suffolk Drive, La Plata, Maryland.
Okay. Pause just 1 second so they can adjust the volume. All right, thank you very much. So your time will begin after Ms. Thomas reads the first question.
Good morning. What is your understanding of the time commitment required for this position?
So when you give the fact that you have 2 meetings a month, okay, the executive meeting, the work group meeting, and then the public meeting after the exec meeting, I was looking at that time thought process of about 8 to 9 hours between the 2 meetings. And then you're going to have prep work for the meetings. There'll be other expected attending of different community events, different school-based events that you have to have in there, possibly meetings beyond our Board of Ed, maybe with the State Board of Ed. So I was thinking that the obligation is going to range somewhere between 20 and 30 hours a month.
Hello, good morning. Why are you running for a seat on the Charles County Board of Education? Is there a particular issue or issues that have motivated you to serve in this way, in this capacity?
So I'm interested in the position because I have had children. I was a Charles County graduate. I have had children go through Charles County school systems. I have children in Charles County school system right now. And I am a person who is a firm believer that if you want to create change, help change, maintain what's going on, you have to be willing to put in the effort. And over the years, and rightly so, and very, very expectedly, the school system has changed, the education environment has changed, our community has changed. And I've seen things in our school system that I really, really like, and I've seen things that I'd really like to see change. And I want to be a part of that change. I've always helped when it comes to, as often as I could, work in my children's schools, to assist if I can't come in and volunteer, to donate and those type of things, to join the PTSO or help run the PTSO. I've had 2 schools over the years where my kids actually left the school system, at the school itself, and went on to the next school, and I stayed on to help with their PTO or PTA because they didn't have anybody else. So I just feel that hard work and dedication pays off, and that if you really want to see something, your vision of something maybe, applied to an organization, then you have to be willing to put in the legwork to get it done. So I felt like with our children still in public schools and will remain in public schools for a number of years before they graduate, that I wanted to become part of the decision-making process, to become part of how we form our policies and procedures and how we move forward as a Board of Ed servicing the children of Charles County as they are today.
Good morning. What are your top 3 priorities for the school system, and how do you plan to advocate for those priorities if elected? Or selected, sorry.
Yes. I think that the biggest priority that we need to start addressing is embracing our schools and embracing our differences and embracing our diversity and embracing the fact that our county is a mix, and it is a mix of people, it is a mix of economic growth, it is a mix of individuals who are basically all trying to do the same things. They're trying to exist, they're trying to succeed, they're trying to raise their families. I think that all our children in our schools, regardless of their mental health status, their special ed status, their ethnicity, their economic status, every child should have what it takes to be able to get through 12 years of school and be successful. That's my first one. The second one is, I think that our children should feel safe at school. That's not easy in our society, and given our society norms and practices today, but we need to do the things as a Board of Ed to ensure safety. And if it came to metal detectors on the doors, securities, more so than the resource officers, then those are some of the things that would need to be considered and discussed. Every child should go to school and not only trust that they're safe in the building, but that they have people in the building that they can trust. So their resource officers, their psychologists in the school, the counselors in the school. Every child comes from different backgrounds, and even children that come from great backgrounds could need to have someone in a school that they could trust. And so a safe school is, yes, the physicality of safety, making sure that our children walk in the building and leave the building the same child that we were, and so do our staff. But it's also the safety of knowing that there's somebody there for them, somebody in their corner, somebody to help them when things aren't going well. So when I say safe schools, it's both realms of safety. And it all deals with having people available to our children that they can trust and that they can build trusting bonds and relationships with, in addition to, maintenance and building safety and that type of thing. The third thing that is very important to me is that we continue to ensure that our children receive all of the learning advantages of today's technology. My 2 children now, unlike my other 3 that have graduated, they bring home their computers. They have computers, the school furnished computers, and that is so fantastic because that's a burden that parents don't have to make sure that their children can access the things that they need. As a Board of Ed, we need to make sure of what else is out there for our children. What are other school systems doing? What are other beyond Maryland, what are other states doing in the country? What do they have that is helping their children succeed through the method of using technology in the classroom and the learning environment? And what can we learn from that, and what can we bring back to Charles County to make our county, who in the years that I have been in this county, and when I went to school, we were a rural county. We are no longer that. So to make our children competitive with what is out there by doing research, by looking into what other organizations have and bringing it back to Charles County so our children get a full advantage of the technology that's out there to help augment their learning and their learning environment. So those are the 3 things. How would I want to be a part of advocating? I think it's very important that we do our research. I think it's very important that we hone in on other school systems that seem to be successful in areas that maybe we also want to achieve, or that we have achieved and we just want to improve on. As a nurse, everything I do has to be evidence-based and based in research. And I think that that expands to more than just the medical field. It expands to when we're dealing with our children. If we're going to decide, okay, this is a course of action, we like this way of teaching English and we could use this technology, we need to have done the research and make sure that other areas have used it, found it successful, and what they used will work in our county, because our county's different, our county's very unique. And we need to make sure that when we bring things, that it is what would belong here. So not only to advocate for what sounds good, but also do the research behind it to make sure that it would work here in our county. So those are my things.
Good morning. Do you feel your views on public education align with members of District 1?
I do. I'm very active in our community. I do a lot of community-based activities. I do them not only through the hospital, but with our community partners. I meet a lot of people in District 1. Not a big social person, so I don't do all of that, but I do a lot of community events. I do a lot of health education and that type of thing, so I do get out in our community. I feel that for the members of District 1, in the basics of it all, we want the same things. Those families with children, those families expecting children, those families planning children, we want them to go to a board, to an educational system that is designed for child-centered needs, that is looking at what are the best needs and the best things we can do to help our children succeed. And in that, I feel my views, they do align with the people in our community. I think that even people that are child-free and do not have children, or their children are grown and gone, and they're looking at maybe their grandchildren, they all want the same things. They want the children in the community around them to be successful. They want their grandchildren, their children to be successful. They want health. They want healthy minds, bodies, communities. So in those thought processes, those are my desires also. So I really do believe that even though maybe myself and my neighbor, we may look at things differently, but in the long run, those are the things that we desire, so that living in our community is better, our children are successful, and they are raised, and they are able to be productive members of the society, which will make future lives more successful. When I equate a lot of things, I do equate it to the healthcare field, but children that grow up and children that are successful and children that decide to move on to either education, healthcare, career eds, technical fields, they enhance the community. So even people that are child-free and have not had children, did not want children, that are living in our community, they desire some of the same things too, because it's only going to enhance our community in the long run. So I do feel that my vision and my thoughts align. Even though we may be coming from different directions, I think ultimately our goals are the same.
Thank you. Second. All right. Good morning. What is your understanding of the Blueprint for Maryland? Do you support its implementation? Which pillar do you believe is the most important, and why?
So based on that whole 5 pillars, you know, I do support it. I think early education is very important, especially since many children don't come from the same backgrounds where early education is affordable in as much as when parents are sending children to daycare versus childcare versus a babysitter, that the ability to offer early childhood experiences for every child that we can, is going to be very advantageous for the schools as the children go through kindergarten, first grade, up till third grade. And then after third grade, some of the research does say that, things start to balance out a little bit. But I do think that it will allow our children to be more prepared for kindergarten. And I can say as a parent, when my older three went through the school system, things were a lot different, and kindergarten was pre-K. And now with the ones that I have coming through now, kindergarten is almost first grade. It is completely different what the expectations are. So these children, to be successful, need to be prepared. So I do agree that early childhood education is important. The part about high quality and diverse leaders, I always thought that it was a wonderful thing that, at least in the past, Charles County did staff searches across the country, and they would bring in new teachers from all sorts of different backgrounds and experiences. And because of the makeup of our county, I really do believe that bringing in the diversity of leaders and keeping them here, which means that we are, and part of the pillars is changing our pay practices and, basing some things on their experience and what schools they choose to work at and what children they choose to work with and what their educational levels are. Over the years, my children have had some fantastic teachers. Some have stayed in Charles County because they live here, they work here, and there's really something to say about living and working in your community. And then some leave to go to a school system where the pay is better because they realize that what they have to offer is worth more than sometimes we're able to give them or that we do give them. So I definitely believe that the high quality and diverse leadership is very important. College and career readiness, definitely with the career readiness in there, I think that's extremely important. And as these children are going through and we're preparing them all the way up to 9th and 10th grade, and we're looking into seeing, okay, are you on the college track? Are you on the career track? What are you going to do? We need to remember, and it does seem that that's the way that things are happening, that not every child is college material, and that's okay. Some children are going to take a technical vocation, and that's fantastic. Some children are going to graduate and they're going to get out in the world. And yes, they may work fast food. They may work at Giant. They may work at Safeway. They may work at Walmart. They may work there and then realize over time that they need to do more. And because of the skills that we gave them while they were in school, they're able to realize that they can do more and go after it later, because not every child's the same. So I do think that it's very important that we are looking at the readiness of our students, especially in the 9th and 10th grade, and not just saying, okay, we have our group and then we have our college-bound students, because we have some very successful students who may attend college later. I was one of those. I went through Charles County Public School System and did not go to college right away. I went into the working field and had 2 children before I went back to school, and then realized that I wanted more, and I did have the skills to get more. That thought when I first graduated and when I was first in the working field was that I wasn't sure if I did have what it took to go to college. And then I found out I did. And so preparing our children all along and supporting them with their decisions in 9th and 10th grade and offering them those choices that, yes, college bound, we would love it if you could all go. Technical schools, yes, great. But to realize that there is this group of children out there that may not fall in either of those categories, but it doesn't mean that higher education is out of the realm for them later in life. So we need just to make sure that they're prepared to enter the workforce and to enter it with some confidence that if they choose to do something later, they have the abilities. They have been taught the skills. The more resources for students to be successful, I have to say that that's probably my number one pick out of this. We do need to make sure that every student that enters our buildings has the resources that they need to be successful. And it's going to be different for every student. You know, what my children may need may not be what the children that are sitting beside them in the classroom need. Some children need the basics of life. They need food, they need shelter, they need clothing. And I realize as a Board of Ed, we can't supply all that, but working with community partners, we can ensure that some of that is offered and parents know that that's available. And when those things are addressed with our children, they are better prepared to learn. We're going to have children in our facilities. It's already started, but we're going to see more of them. Children that have been born in situations that are not the best, whether it's for drugs or alcohol or stress or mental disability or economic standings, or a family of perfectly good normal standings that everybody doesn't realize what happens behind closed doors. And we need to be there for those children in as many ways as it's possible to offer them the resources so that they can too be successful and not be sitting in class wondering, is anybody going to be home when I get home? Will I have something to wear tomorrow? Will I have something to eat tonight? Those children, their learning is distracted because they don't have those necessary resources. And even though, as a Board of Ed, we can't necessarily, like I said, house, clothe, and feed everyone, but we can work with our community partners to identify these children that are in need and these families that are in need and help get them the resources from the school level, you know, from the counselors, from the school psychologists, from the pupil personnel workers. Those are the things that we can do, and then meet the needs of our special ed children. If it means more ancillary staff in the classroom, because you have a child who academically is intelligent enough to survive in a classroom, but due to their disability socially is not, you know, to find their least restrictive environment and be able to support them in it is our obligation, so that they too can be successful in school. I think that if we can provide some of these resources and through community partners, some of these opportunities and resources for these families, we can enhance our schools, we can help to look at our impoverished neighborhoods and build those children up. And again, this all falls back on they come to school and there's somebody they can trust and somebody they can say, hey, I didn't eat yesterday, and have things change. So that is very important to me. The governance and accountability, I think that it is important that anything that we do as a governing body is also looked at by another governing body. I think that our school system, the way it's set up with, you know, we have our schools, we have our principals and our administration at our schools, we have our Board of Ed, we have our superintendent, we have our Maryland State Board of Ed. I think that the governance of what is happening in each county and each school is important. I think that every county and every school system should be equally represented in that governance, so that way the unique needs of a particular county, because our needs in Charles County are not the same as the needs in St. Mary's County, so that everyone can see, okay, well, we went down this direction, whether it 100% fits what maybe people in Baltimore would see as our, what should be our goal, what should be our direction. If we have representation on these boards of governance, we can say, but our county's different, but our needs are a little different. This is the reason we took this route. This is the research we used. This is the evidence that we backed it up with, and this is the reason. And I do think that the governance and accountability is very important, to look at our data, to make sure that what we're doing is successful. And as an organization, if we're not providing what our students need. If our school system, if our county is suffering, then you need somebody overlooking to say, hey, there is now a time to change direction and this is it. So that's, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right, your next question. What are the roles of the elected board and the roles of the superintendent?
Okay, so our superintendent manages our school system. The board does our policies and our procedures. We are kind of like the oversight of the overall district of what is happening. Our superintendent is the oversight of the actual schools. We work together as a collaborative organization, our schools, our administration in our schools, our superintendent, and our board as a collaborative unit to bring about what's best for our students in our school system. So that's the Board of Ed sets our priorities, we do our policies, we helped to set the direction forth, and then those things are implemented by the superintendent and the administrators in the schools.
Hello. How have your unique strength, professional, and volunteering experience prepared you to serve on the CCPS board?
So, as I've said, I have a lot of experience in the school system itself as a parent, as a graduate of Charles County Schools, as a volunteer in the parent organizations, as a volunteer in the schools to help. I've seen firsthand through a parent's eyes what I feel is needed, what I'd like to see. I have seen in being in the schools and volunteering, and over the years spent many, many hours in front of Xerox machines helping teachers get their items ready before computers, getting their items ready for the classroom. I've heard their needs and their concerns. I've spent time with principals and listened to their thoughts, their concerns, their achievements. So in that area, I have a lot of experience within the schools themselves. In my personal career and life, I've been a nurse for 23 years now, and I worked 16 of those years in an emergency department, and so therefore I have very good assessment skills. I am very good at creating some calm out of chaos, and finding a direction and choosing a path and making decisions. I am able to critically think, which is very good for my career and my job. I am able to work with people from every economic standing, because when they see me in my personal career as a nurse, they're coming for their concerns about health. And so we share a common goal. We want them healthy. And so it doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, or, what their beliefs are, or the common goal is what we all work on, their health. And as a nurse, that is what you do. So I'm able to focus on trying to achieve goals. I work very hard within my organization. I feel like coming to work every day and leaving work every day is the minimal of my responsibility for my career, and that my responsibility to the organization that I work for is to walk in every day with the thought process of what can I do better today? What can I help with today? If my help happens to be helping a person into a wheelchair because they're trying to get to the wound care clinic that morning as I'm walking in, well, I'm going to put down all my belongings and I'm going to help them get there. If my day, like last night, which my evening went into about 8:30, meant that I was going to be working with one of the things that I do in my nursing career is I also do forensic nursing. So if I am working with someone who needs help as a victim of violence in our community, then that's what I'm going to be doing at that time. I feel like when my organization's goals should be part of my goals, and our goal for the organization that I work with is to achieve and maintain a high reliable organization to allow no harm to come. And every day I walk in that building, that is part of my goal for the day, is to make sure that I live up to what we're trying to achieve and the standards that we're trying to do. I feel like community responsibility starts at home. I have tried to always raise my children with encouragement. I've tried to always teach them respect. I've tried to always teach them to be accepting of other people, no matter what. I have tried to teach them boundaries. Can I say I've always been successful in that? No. But it is our goal as a family that our children come out and be productive members of society, be everything that they can be, because that enhances not only our community, but it enhances the fact that when my children aren't up to their best, the school knows that they can call me and I'm going to support them, because I know what our goals are and what we're trying to do as a family to make our lives part of a betterment to our community. When it comes to my life experience, like I said, I have very strong beliefs about community involvement, about, trying to stay away from cliches 100%, but it really does take a village. It takes everyone working together to make a difference in a community, to make that positive outcome a reality. And I'm not going to be, I can't be the type of person who sits at home and goes, well, I wish this was different. Well, I wish this was different. Well, I wish this was different. And it's not that I don't wish that things are different. I do. But I'm going to be a part of helping make them that way. Because if I wish that they were different, there's other people out there that also wish that maybe they were different, but maybe they're not capable of doing it for whatever the reason is. So I feel like part of what I need to do as a community member is make sure that I strive to make a difference and a positive impact and a positive difference. And I think that's what I would offer to the Board of Ed. So.
All right, so that concludes the questions. Thank you very much. In the time you have left, is anything else you'd like to say? Now's the time to do that.
I've probably covered a lot of it. Like I said, I'm just a very community-minded person. We work on campaigns through what I do for my job, and I make it my goal to get out in the community. And one of the things that is near and dear to my heart, because unbelievably so, Charles County has a very large population of stroke patients and individuals, and working on people's awareness of their overall health. And I get out in the community. I do community talks. I try to be, like I said, a positive impact, and bring what I can to the table whenever I can. My family has lived in Charles County basically my entire life. I was originally from Waldorf, and then we moved to La Plata, and my husband's family is long-term Charles County forever and ever. And we just want to not only be able to remain in our county, be able to be proud of our county, be able to be proud of our school system, be able to be a part of change when it's possible, and be a part of maintaining the things that don't need to change, because it takes effort just to maintain. So, but that's really it.
Well, thank you again for coming in. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.